Hey everyone, Sam here from D&D Newbie Sessions. Just wanted to make kind of a impromptu, informal video tonight about the New Players Handbook, the 2024 edition. Kind of first impressions and just taking a look at some of the content that's in it. I just got some notes. We'll kind of just see where the video takes us, but let's jump right in. So first off, just in terms of the cover, here's what it looks like. Oops. Oh, this is kind of hard. There we go. So that's what it looks like. Pretty cool. Here's a comparison with the 2014 Players Handbook. And I definitely like the new one better. The new one, it's got this gold dragon, and it's got a party, actual adventuring party right there. Whereas the 2014 version seems very specific. It's like this person and this person are fighting a giant. It just seems like really specific scenario. Whereas this one feels a little bit more like, hey, there's a diverse adventuring party that's going, anything could be happening here. I don't know, it just seems a little bit more open-ended. And then on the back, there we go, right there. So it's that party again, gold dragon. This time they're flying up in the sky. It's got this cool, gold 50-year anniversary stamp on it. The back of the 2014 version, got like a hellhound again. Just seems like kind of random compared to having an actual adventuring party, but so yeah, I like the new one. Another minor thing, this is the 2014 version. The binding or the side here is black, and the new one is red, which is kind of nice because if you own both copies and you've got them on your bookshelf, you can quickly tell like, okay, this is the new one. You can also tell that the new one is thicker. So it's a little bit bigger. I'm not sure how much actual new content there is, though, because there's a good amount of art in here, I noticed. So I'm assuming that kind of expanded it, but 384 pages in the new one. And 316 in the old one, although I guess there's technically like 2 pages of character sheets at the end, so maybe 318. So, yeah, a little bit longer. It's got a good feel to it, though. It actually feels like a nice thickness. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, let's take a look inside. And so the 2014 version was just black on the inner cover. But this one's got actually some art in it. You can see a dragon and maybe a Colosseum or city statue. Bunch of people. Something going on. Banded up. Okay, so let's take a quick look at some of the content here. Oh, you can see if there's an alternate cover, which is that other gold one there. I actually kind of wish I would have got that one because I saw a picture of it. It looks really cool. But anyway, okay. In terms of contents, we've got Welcome to Adventure, what you need using this book, Worlds of Adventure. Then we've got Chapter 1, Playing the Game, and it jumps right into the rules, how to play, that sort of thing. I can show a little bit of that. Creating a character, Chapter 2. Chapter 3, character classes. So we've got Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. And then Chapter 4, character origins. So there's a bunch of backgrounds. We can take a look at those, but what is there? Probably like 15 or so. Then species, Aasimar, Dragonborn, Dwarf, Elf, Gnome, Goliath, Halfling, Human, Orc, Tiefling. Chapter 5 is feats, Chapter 6 is equipment, Chapter 7 spells, and then appendix, the multiverse, creature stat blocks, rules glossary, and then the index. I've only skimmed through this so far, so I haven't like deep dived into it. But from what I've seen so far, it is pretty cool. Like they did a good job of really like cleaning things up. It does feel like legitimately polished from what I've seen so far. And one other thing I really like is, let me find a good example here. Well, I guess I can use this one, but there's a better section somewhere. But they've got this here. I don't know if you can see it very well, where it says Jared as Dungeon Master, Philip as Gareth, Maeve as Mirabella. Throughout the book, or at least like the rules beginning section area, I think it's chapter 1. They provide like a simulation of the gameplay. So things that they're saying, and then actually let me find the other section that I was looking at earlier, because it was really cool how they did it. Yeah, like right here is one of the examples. So you can see on the, I guess it's the left there, the dialogue as the DM, as the players, and then on the right there's these boxes, and they're describing like, okay, so you read the scenario that's happening. Now let's talk about some of the things, like why it's happening that way, or what rule was used. Like they highlight this section right here with a 1, and it maps to this box, which tells you all about ability checks. So Philip's character, Gareth, makes a wisdom insight check to determine whether he reads Ismark's unspoken cues. Wisdom is the ability, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I really like that. Very cool. Like I said, it seems like there's a lot more art in this one, I think. And the art, it looks cool. It's like different styles. I wouldn't say it's like totally consistent. It looks like maybe different artists and different styles throughout. But I'm fine with that. I think it looks cool. Like this one's kind of interesting. Tiefling with like a bubble over their head. I guess, yeah, because they're underwater with like a seahorse. Astride a giant seahorse, a paladin adventures underwater. But yeah, so far, so this is all within chapter 1. It's going through, everything you need to know about how to play the game. So I'll just kind of like briefly mention, let me go back actually. So just to give you a sense of like what kind of stuff's in here. So what's it like to be a player? What's it like to be a dungeon master? Tells you about the dice, different adventure types, your ability scores, saving throws, advantage and disadvantage, attack rolls, different types of actions you can take, a list of all your skills. So there's like a table here, shows you, which way do I go? Right there, table. So skills, which ability it relies on, and then example uses. And again, I think that's a big thing I'm noticing is like they provide a lot of supplemental information that I don't think was there in 2014. Example uses, or like how to think about stuff or how to use it. Or I think, if you're a new player, especially, and you pick up the game and you read through chapter 1, I feel like you're going to have a really good understanding of how to play based on what I'm seeing here. Let's see, hazards, travel, more simulation of the game and explanations of what's going on. Oh yeah, here's another great example of one, a whole page dedicated to, the dialogue, the conversations, and then explanations about what's going on. So, for example, number 4, Amy. I grab the poker and poke at logs in the fire. Jared. As soon as you lift the poker, you hear a grinding sound, and the back of the fireplace slides to the side, revealing a room behind it. And then it maps to box number 4, finding hidden objects. Adventure environments are full of secrets, traps, concealed doors, loose floorboards, and hidden treasures. Characters often use wisdom checks to find things. See the search action in the rules glossary, but sometimes they stumble upon them accidentally, as Oro did here. And then, if you're a new player and you're like learning how things, work, what you can do is basically exactly like I said, see the search action in the rules glossary. And I was already doing this since the rules are changing slightly. Like I was already looking in here and then jumping to the rules glossary and then jumping back and looking up things. And so you can go to the, let's see here. So actually I'm going to go to the index first. Let's see if it's in here. So search table, search action, page 15. So now I can know to jump to, let's see, 15. And then I can read about the search action, make a wisdom, insight, medicine, perception, or survival check. Okay. Let's see, there was another page too listed. Actually, wait, let me check the, so that was the index. Then there's the actual rules glossary here. Oh yeah, okay. So then here's an example of the rules glossary. So it's, you could probably think of it kind of like looking up spells or something like that, except it's just the rules. And here's a box right here. You probably can't really see it, but this box right here where my finger is, it says search action. When you take the search action, you make a wisdom check to discern something that isn't obvious. The search table suggests which skills are applicable when you take this action, depending on what you're trying to detect. So insight, creature's state of mind; medicine, creature's ailment or cause of death; perception, concealed creature or object; survival, tracks or food. So yeah, the rules glossary, I can see like they were really talking about how that's going to be so helpful for DMs and players, and I think they're right. I mean, the fact that you can just jump to this section, it is alphabetical. So if you know what you're looking for, maybe it's mentioned on a character sheet, maybe your DM mentioned it, whatever, you can just quickly look it up and read all about it. Okay, yeah, so let's see what else. Then we've got a whole big section dedicated to creating a character and classes. Here's another kind of cool table they added. So creating a character, this table down here. You can see it talks about stuff like, okay, so barbarian likes battle, primary ability strength, complexity average. So they give you just a quick little summary so you can maybe at a glance. I mean, I've played with plenty of people in the past who are just like, I don't really know anything about D&D. I just kind of want to jump in and play. What should I make? Well, you could potentially just point them at this table. They could glance over it and be like, I like survival. That sounds kind of interesting. And it's average complexity. That sounds like something I could figure out, right? Boom, I'm going to go with that. Walks you through creating a character, choose a class, determine origin, determine ability scores, choose alignment, fill in the details. They've got a new character sheet format. And there's all these, this is like an example, and there's a bunch of numbers on it. And if you look at the numbers and then you go back a page, at least from what I can tell here, it's corresponding to the step that you do. So step 1, choose a class. That's when then you would look on here for all the number ones, and it tells you to fill those in, like class and subclass and your current level. And then when you get to step 2, which was determine origin, so background and species, then you can start to fill in the number 2 items, which are background and species, speed, size, backstory and personality, languages, equipment, skills, all sorts of stuff. So that's pretty cool. I think that also will be very helpful if people can, break down the process, because it can be overwhelming when you're not familiar with it. There's so much to do and all these boxes and numbers and things. But now you can just sort of be like, okay, I'm going to hone in, just do step 1. Boop, boop, boop. Fill in those ones. Okay, now I can do step 2. Fill them in. I could definitely see that being helpful for new players. Okay. A lot of familiar content in here, languages and backgrounds and various things like that. Alignments. Here's another kind of cool one. So they show like the abilities here. If you have a high version, you might be, so if you have high constitution, you might be energetic, hardy, stable. If you have low constitution, you might be frail, squeamish. That's kind of cool. That could give you an idea when you're putting in your ability scores, like what you might be. I don't know, it just gives you some better idea what those numbers actually mean. Because, again, when you're new, they might just seem like a number and you like have no idea what it really actually translates to. Let's see. Okay, what else to call out here? Okay, they talk about leveling, multi-classing, D100 trinket table. Then we get into character classes, kind of a nice little summary of the classes and the different choices you can make. So if you go barbarian, you can be a berserker versus wild heart versus world tree versus zealot, etc. So that's also really nice because then, you know, maybe less page flipping, you can just kind of glance at this, especially again, a new player. They might be like, hey, I was interested in that ranger before. Now let me just take a quick glance at, okay, Beastmaster, bond with a primal beast, Fey Wanderer, manifest Fey Mirth and Fury. All of that, I'm not sure how clear that is, but Gloomstalker, hunt foes that lurk in the darkness, etc. So you could potentially glance at these four and be like, I really like the sound of this one, and then go straight to it. So yeah, just kind of scroll through here. So we got our classes, we got Barbarian, we've got our Bard. Subclasses. Check out the art for this. These are pretty sweet. Lots of, like I said, lots of cool art in here. Like that Dragonborn, that looks awesome. I like the colors on that one. College of Valor subclass. Okay, I'm gonna jump ahead here. So we get past a lot of pages for classes. Lots and lots of them. That eventually gets us to Chapter 4, Character Origins. The first thing that's in here are the backgrounds. And this has a kind of a cool, I like the layout of this, because they map each one to some art. So you can see like the Acolyte, there's this big temple, artisans, kind of like a art studio, I guess, I don't know, workshop maybe. Charlatan is like a circus or something like that. Criminal, kind of an underground streets, underworld type of imagery. Entertainer, kind of at a theater, amphitheater. Farmer, the guide out in the forest, the guard up on the city walls. I think the main thing to call out here is that, for example, I was looking at, usually the first character I build in any fantasy games and stuff is a druid. So I was doing kind of a quick little pretending to kind of build a druid. And I went with the guide background here. And the main thing I noticed was there's a feat listed now. So like this one has Magic, Initiate, Druid. See Chapter 5, and you get so I choose that guide, and then when I go ahead to Chapter 5 with the feats here, that's the one I get. So it looks like if I go to Magic Initiate, which is right here, this is part of Origin feats, you gain 2 cantrips, 2 druid cantrips, and 1 level 1 spell from the druid list. So yeah, pretty cool. So you get to start with a feat, it looks like, from your background, and then I think you also get a feat, or the option to get a feat, like in 2014 as you level. Okay, so that gets us through backgrounds and feats. We also get into, oh wait, I missed Oh yeah, here are the species. Get this open here. I think so unlike the classes, it goes straight from backgrounds to the species, so like straight into Aasimar and Dragonborn, etc. The main thing I noticed here was that the species section seems very, like everybody just gets like 1 page, whereas I think in the 2014, I think it was more like 2 to 3 pages per race or species. So you'll notice like right off the bat, like dwarf, this is it, just this 1 page, and really just a half a page. Seems a lot shorter than in 2014. But I don't know how much that really matters. I mean, they still give you a brief description of dwarves, then they just jump straight into the traits, for example. Let's actually take a quick look by comparison, rather than do this from memory. So in 2014, just to give you a little sense of the difference here, it starts with an introduction, gives you a little bit about the game at a high level, then it jumps straight into creating a character, and the first step is choosing a race. So pretty different in terms of structure from 2014 to 2024. And here's what the dwarf looked like in 2014. So we've got 2 full pages right here, so a lot more content, and then a 3rd page on this side here before we get into elf. So you can see there's substantially more content in 2014 races than there are in 2024 species. Again, I don't know how much that will really matter. Yeah, TBD, I guess. Okay, so we got species, we've got feats. Next up in the book is equipment. And a lot of this looked pretty similar. I mean, it talks about, so we got coin values, weapon properties, types of weapons. I mean, for the most part, the list looks the same. The main thing that stands out, and you might already be aware of this, is the new mastery properties. So these right here, this is the list explaining all the different properties. And then on the weapons table, it talks about a mastery for each of the weapons in this column. So for example, let's take a kind of, I think, a common weapon, like a short sword. It has the Vex mastery. And Vex says, if you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to the creature, you have an advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your next turn. Let's do another one as a contrast. So let's take the longsword now. That has the sap property or mastery. If you hit a creature with this weapon, that creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn. So there's a part of me that's like, that's really cool. There's also the DM side of me that's like kind of scared, because I already have trouble tracking all of the buffs and debuffs in the game. And if these are, as I understand it, just looking at this, I mean, maybe I need to do more research, but it sounds like these are triggering all the time. Let's see. Each weapon has a mastery property, which is usable only by a character who has a feature such as weapon mastery that unlocks the property for the character. Okay, so that sounds like it's probably going to be for certain classes. So that's good, at least. At least maybe it's not triggering for all characters all the time. But it does seem like it's still going to add a decent amount of overhead. If, like, let's say I have a fighter in the party and they're constantly triggering certain types of masteries. I guess it would probably be one at a time, though. Maybe it's not too bad. Okay, now that I'm talking it through, maybe this won't be too bad. When I saw it, I was like, oh my god, how am I going to keep track of all this? But maybe this won't be too bad. Oh, I really like this page too. They actually show all the weapons finally. I always had to Google image search. You know, if someone was like playing, they're like, what does a well, some of these are really obvious, but like, what does a glaive look like? Well, I don't know how to describe it. So like, okay, let's go on Google Images and like look it up or whatever. So that's cool. Now you can actually just have this, you know, if you got the book at the table, you can just like have this page bookmarked and people can check it out. Also shows the armor on the next one. Also very cool. Let's see, what else here? A lot of it, like I said, very similar to 2014, like the adventuring gear table looks pretty similar. Gives you explanations of all the different items. They did that in 2014 too, so that seems pretty similar. Lifestyle expenses looks similar. More tables, again, familiar from 2014. Cool. And then yeah, we get into spells. And actually, let's see here. Oh, this video is getting kind of long, so let me end it there. But basically, yeah, I'll just super fast go through the rest. Spells looks very similar to before. Lots of spells to scroll through here. We get into some stat blocks and monsters. And then I think after that, we're going to get into that rules glossary. More stat blocks. The rules glossary here. All the information you need to play the game and find it really quickly. Then we get into the index, also very helpful for jumping around the book. And then I think that's it. So yeah, pretty cool. Before I end, the only thing I wanted to also bring up was, do you need to buy this, right? So as a dungeon master, definitely. I feel like you need to have the rule book, right? You need to be able to build characters and stuff like that. Do you need a physical copy as a DM? I mean, it's nice. I feel like it's fun to have the physical copy, but I'm sure you can get away with having the digital version if you want. If you're playing in person, physical books are great. You probably want to have them at the table, right? At least one. Pass it around, build characters, stuff like that. As a player, I don't think you necessarily have to have the player's handbook. Like, it's got it in the name, but when I've run games in the past, I've provided this material for my players so they can just show up and have some fun, build a character. Like, I've got the book covered for them. But I will say that my players who did buy the books and brought them, I was very appreciative of it, because if you've got a party, let's say 5 players, and there's only one book, it takes a long time to build a character because everyone's like passing it around or taking turns, and it's just, I think at some of my previous campaigns, we usually had like at least 3 books, I think, at the table. I'd have 1 or 2, players would have a couple, so maybe 4, and that just made everything so easy. Books were being passed around. There was never anyone really waiting on a book. So I would say if you can afford it and get it, yeah, I would get it. But, depending on who you play with, like your DM might just be able to provide you the materials. And then if you're playing in person, I would say leaning more towards yes. If you're playing online, you probably don't need it because you can just rely on D&D Beyond, and your DM can probably like do some content sharing on D&D Beyond. But then you can also get the digital copies of them, which are really nice. If you're planning to play more online, then I would probably pick up the digital copy. Because you're probably going to need it eventually to get like the classes you want and the content that you want and stuff like that. The ideal world is to get both, right? Get the physical, get the digital, but then that's obviously kind of expensive. And last comment there is, but of the core books, like if there's the player's handbook, there's the DM guide and the monster manual. As a player, just get this one. Like if you're going to get something, get this one. You don't need to worry about getting the other 2. Those are more for the DM. Okay, that's it for tonight. Hopefully that was helpful or just kind of interesting. But the next video that I'm thinking about making is maybe doing a character build to kind of show what that process looks like. And then I was thinking of, to help learn the rules, doing a scenario video. So creating a scenario and then like kind of doing like a mock version of the game and like looking up different rules as we go, and that might be really helpful for figuring out how this actually works and what has changed. But that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. See you next time.